I grew up in a world that kept trying to tell me who I was, before I ever had the chance to find out for myself. African Americans looked at me and expected a personality that matched the features on my face. They expected a voice, a tone, a style, a behavior that lined up with their idea of what a black girl should be. And when I didn't match that script, they rejected me. They pushed me down the social ladder, they bullied me. They treated me like I was pretending to be something I never claimed to be in the first place. Then I tried to fit into Caucasian spaces, and the rejection came even faster. They expected the stereotype, the loud, sassy, tough black girl they see on TV. But I have a gentle spirit. I speak softly. I move differently. And because I didn't match their expectations either, they pushed me out too. And with Caucasian culture, there was another layer, a social status hierarchy that I could never climb. A kind of classism that sorted people by money, appearance, background, and perceived value. It wasn't just about race, it was about where they believed I belonged in their unspoken ranking system. And no matter how I showed up, I was placed at the bottom. That was a serious problem then. And it continues to be a problem now. So I grew up uncategorized, unclaimed, unplaced, a person without a cultural home. And because I never knew my biological parents, I turned to DNA hoping it would give me a place to belong. A map, a direction, a starting point. The results said I was half Nigerian, from the Igbo tribe. So I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where I come from. Maybe this is where I'll finally be accepted. I chose an African name. I looked up the tribe. I prepared to embrace the culture. I was ready to buy the passport and step into a heritage I never had the chance to grow up in. But when I reached out, I was rejected again. And they made it clear I did not look like them. So they didn't accept me. So I went back to the DNA test and looked again. I took several DNA ancestry tests. Something that popped up in all of them, Filipino. And I said to myself, if I'm not accepted in one culture, maybe I'll try another. And what made me write this song was the simple truth that every human being wants to belong somewhere. Everyone wants a family. Everyone wants a place where someone opens their arms instead of crossing them. And the bullying I went through, not just verbal, but physical, left a mark on me. Being small in stature, being gentle by nature, made the violence even more frightening. African Americans hurt me. Caucasian individuals hurt me. And every time it happened, it pushed me further away from any sense of safety or belonging. I didn't understand why I was always the target, why I was always the one being shoved, hit, mocked, or pushed aside. And all of that pain made the moments of acceptance mean even more. But I already knew the answer before I even finished the thought, because I remembered Hawaii. I remembered the Filipino neighborhood where nobody asked me what I was. Nobody asked how much money I made. Nobody asked my social status. They didn't need a category before they offered me kindness. They didn't need a label before they offered me belonging. They treated me like family without needing proof. And when I connected with my Filipino DNA relatives, they looked like me. They resembled me. They mirrored features I had never seen reflected back in any other culture. It was the first time in my life I saw myself in someone else's face. And that's when I realized something. That is the culture that accepts me without conditions. That is the culture that doesn't need me to perform or prove or fit a stereotype to be allowed inside. And after everything I've lived through, after all the places I've been pushed out of, it is the only time I have ever truly felt like I had a home. This song is not about DNA. It's about resonance. It's about the difference between being tolerated and being welcomed. It's about finding home in the one place that never asked me to change, to be allowed inside. This is my story. This is my truth. This is my identity, without apology, without permission, without categories. I am unclassified. And that is exactly why I finally belong.
People been reading my face my whole life, like a map with the borders wiped off, trying to solve me like a riddle they never studied for. I grew up with eyes on me, tilted heads, slow squints, like my cheekbones held a secret. They were old hints. Strangers asking if I'm Asian or something, like my identity was theirs to keep hunting. Then the DNA test came back with a laugh, and none of it explained why my soul felt home in a place I didn't grow. But identity is not a costume you zip yourself in. It's resonance, it's frequency. It's the place where your spirit says this feels like me. And Hawaii, that Filipino neighborhood, that was the first time I felt understood. Not a glitch, not a mystery, not a question mark in somebody else's history. I'm a mosaic, a masterpiece of every place my heart said yes to. Every culture that held me, every moment that felt true. If you're like me, misread, mislabeled, misunderstood, you're not the sum of your percentages, you're the sum of your resonance. You're the echo of everywhere your spirit ever felt safe. I don't fit the math, I don't match the charts. My DNA is numbers, but my soul is art. I belong where I feel seen, not where the test says I should be. I don't fit the math, and that's the part that's me. If the math can't explain you, good. You were never meant to be soft. You were meant